Thanks for inviting me to make a contribution about Earth Day and about Aberdeen's green spaces. As a constituency MP that represents pretty urban constituency, I mean out to the west there's a few farms but not very many. A lot of the places that I represent are pretty concrete and granite heavy, to be honest. I think it's interesting to think of how we can work with those green spaces, how we can manage them, how we can make them work for my constituents, and for people across similar urban environments. Recently, because of the election, I've been out delivering leaflets a fair bit. And one of the places that I've delivered a lot of leaflets in Aberdeen is Shedixley. Now, Shedixley is quite amazing because every little space, every little nook and cranny that you come across, there's another green space. There's somewhere else that is green, somewhere else that is there for people to play in. I come from a lot of this from the point of view of the fact that I've got kids, and my kids are 10 and 7 just now, and obviously love playing outside, and I love them to play outside as well. So a lot of the time when I see green spaces, I think about their potential for use as somewhere for children to play. I think that what we've been doing around ensuring that the amount of play parks there are upgraded and kids are able to play in those, I think that has been hugely helpful. And I think that the other stuff that we've been doing around making sure that schools do a lot of outdoor play, that schools are spending, particularly with COVID, because of the lack of ability to do physical education inside. They've been outside doing that physical education. They've also been increasing outdoor provision for nursery children. I think all of that is really good because I think it encourages young people to be used to spending time outside. I think it encourages young people to enjoy the outdoors and to consider, actually, can I go for a walk? That is something that you could do. That is something that you could do that is fun. So I think that's a good thing for young people. I suppose I'm concerned the most about, when thinking about green spaces, when thinking about the evolution of them, is to make sure that we don't have some of our communities excluded. So in relation to some of the things that have happened, we've got Bonnymuir Green in Aberdeen. Now Bonnymuir Green is great. They've done wonderful work in making sure that that is a green space, that it's accessible for people, that it involves growing vegetables and things, as well as having a small cafe that has been doing some opening during the COVID period, which is great. So there's a lot of good things happening there, but I'm concerned that some of the areas that are perhaps got more deprivation, that are perhaps less middle class, are less able to access the permissions that they need from the councils, to access the ability to do things like community asset transfers, because there's not the level of support that there could be for community capacity building, basically, for people to take these things on. And in some of those communities, for example, I've represented Woodside for a very long time. I was a councillor in Woodside before becoming the MP. There is a handful of people that do everything. So there's a handful of people who do the neighbourhood network, who do the local radio, who do the community centre, who do all of these things, and I would be concerned that anything that we are doing about community ownership would fall on those people as well. So I think that although absolutely the community needs to be significantly involved, where that support is needed for them to be involved in ensuring that our green spaces are accessible and ensuring that they're, things like allotment projects can come off, we need to make sure that those supports are in there as well, so that we don't just end up making the divide even bigger. So I'm really positive about some of the future, particularly around the improvements that I'm seeing for young people in the green spaces that we have. I know that we have seen building works, and I suppose one of my concerns about building works is the issue that there is with factoring. So a lot of places now have got factoring systems in place. I'm concerned that this is storing up problems for the future, to be honest, in that lots of people are having to pay those factoring charges. But because those areas of green space within those factored areas are not looked after by the council, then it means you get a really inconsistent level of service. So some of them are beautiful and the factors do an amazing job and people are not charged too much money for it, and that is wonderful. But some of them are significantly worse than you would see in council organised, council run, council maintained areas. So I think that there's a job of work to be done in ensuring that there is a standard that is met basically, and that those green spaces are fit for purpose, whether that purpose is for young people to be able to play in them, for people to walk their dogs, for, you know, allotments, whatever it is. I think it's important that that is considered when we're looking into the future. But all in all, I'm fairly positive about the way that things are going forward. I think there are places that we could make improvement and places that more support is required, particularly for those communities where there is more deprivation. But generally speaking, I think things are going in a good direction, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you and ensuring that this can continue to happen.